By 11, everybody else had cleared out, and it was just me, Clara, and a roll of packing tape that had started fighting back. Her apartment had that sound half-empty places get. Every word bounced. The couch was gone. Sold to a guy named Rory, who showed up with a pickup and no straps, which I fixed with rope and a lecture he didn't ask for. The bookshelves were gone. The rug was rolled and standing in the corner like a person waiting for a bus. 12 boxes by the door, 4 in the kitchen, and the bed frame in pieces against the wall, which left the mattress flat on the floor with one fitted sheet on it, the gray one, the last soft thing in the whole place. "You labeled that one Kitchen Misk," I said. "You labeled 3 of them Kitchen Misk. They're all Misk. That's how Misk works, yeah. It stops meaning anything." She threw a Sharpie at me. I caught it, wrote Kitchen Misk, 2 of 3 on the side of the box, then wrote 3 of 3 on the next one, and she watched me do it with her arms crossed and her mouth doing the thing where she's annoyed and also not. Here's what you need to know about Clara Hayes. She had spent 6 years chasing one specific job, and in April she got it, and it was 2,300 miles away, and she was on a plane at 9:40 in the morning. Everybody in her life had an opinion about that. Her mother cried in a way that was mostly about herself. Her friend Danielle kept saying, "But you'd be giving up so much here." In that voice people use when they mean me, "You'd be giving up me." Her old boss offered her a raise that was insulting in a numerical sense. I told her to take it, out loud, first, in a diner, before anybody else weighed in. I told her she'd been building toward it since she was 24, and that if she stayed, she'd be pleasant about it for about 8 months, and then unbearable. She said, "You're supposed to be sad." I said, "I can multitask." So that was that. And now, it was the last night, and I was doing what I do, which is turn a feeling into a list. I checked the smoke detector, because the security deposit inspection was Monday, and her landlord was the kind of man who looked for reasons. I found the missing screw for the bed frame under the radiator with my phone flashlight and put it in a sandwich bag and taped the bag to the headboard piece, because she would absolutely lose that screw between Ohio and Seattle. I made her drink water. I carried the heavy stuff. I asked her 3 times if her chargers were in her carry-on, and the 3rd time she said, "Nathan, if you ask me about the chargers again, I'm going to put them in your car and make it your problem." "They're already my problem. That's the tragedy of me." She laughed, but not all the way. Somewhere around midnight I noticed she'd stopped moving. She was standing in the middle of the room with a dish towel in her hand, and nothing to do with it, and her thumb was going against her thigh. Tap, 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 which is a thing she does when her head is louder than the room. Other people look at Clara and see a woman with a plan. That's not wrong. It's just not the whole file. She's very good at looking fine, and people are grateful when you look fine, so they don't check. I didn't ask if she was okay. She hates that question. It makes her perform an answer. I said, "You're gonna hate the first 3 weeks." She looked up. "Everybody's going to be nice, and nobody's going to know how you take your coffee," I said. "You're going to be exhausted at 7 and awake at 2, and you're going to think that means you made a mistake, and it won't mean that. It'll just mean it's week 2. Her eyes went shiny, and she blinked it back on purpose, and she said, "Why are you like this?" "Sleep deprived, mostly." She folded the dish towel into a square and set it on a box, very neatly, like the towel had done something to deserve care. I looked at the clock on the stove, 12:20, and I felt the shape of the night ending, and I did the thing I always do when a feeling gets too big, which is get functional about it. "Okay," I said, "I'll be here at 7. That gets us to the airport with the buffer you pretend not to want. Don't eat the yogurt in the fridge. It expired during the Obama administration. I'll take the trash on my way out." I picked up my keys off the windowsill. "Nathan?" "Yeah." "Put those down." I turned around with my keys in my hand like an idiot holding evidence. She crossed the room. Not fast, not dramatic. She crossed it like a woman who had already made a decision some time ago and had finally run out of reasons to keep it in a drawer. She took the keys out of my hand. Her fingers went in between mine to do it, which is not how you take keys from somebody. She set them on the sill behind her without looking. Then she got a hand around my wrist and sat down on the mattress and pulled. I didn't fight it, but I didn't help either, so I landed badly, one knee on the floor, one hand catching the edge of the mattress by her hip, my face about 8 inches from hers. "Clara!" "I know what time it is," she said. "That's not... I know you have to be up. I know you'll be here at 7 with coffee and the good phone mount. I know all of it." Her voice was steady, and her breathing wasn't. "I'm asking you to stay in this bed with me tonight, and I'm asking you as clearly as I know how, because I have 12 hours left and I'm done being subtle. The room got very loud in that bouncing, empty way. Okay, I said. Say the other part. What other part? The part where you tell me what kind of staying. She laughed once, low, almost a breath. Then she took a fistful of my shirt and pulled me in and kissed me. Not a goodbye kiss. I've had those. This one had a history in it. It had opinions. Her hand went up the back of my neck into my hair like she'd rehearsed it in the shower, and she made a small sound against my mouth that I felt in the middle of my chest. And when I finally got a hand on her jaw and kissed her back, she went absolutely still for a second, like finally, and then she pulled me down onto the mattress with her. I want to be honest about what my brain did, because it wasn't heroic. My brain said, she's terrified. My brain said, her whole life is in boxes and I'm the last familiar object in the room. And she's going to wake up at 6 with a hangover of feelings, and I'm going to be the thing she has to be careful about. So I broke the kiss. I put my forehead against hers, which was the most restraint I have ever shown in my life, and I said, hey, it's the last night. Everything feels huge on the last night. If we... Don't. She said it hard. Don't do that. I'm giving you an exit. I don't want your exit. She sat up on one elbow. Her hair was a disaster, and her mouth was pink, and she looked me dead in the face. Nathan, say I'm scared. Say I'm sad. Both true. Now explain the last 4 years with scared and sad, because I can't. What? Ice storm, she said. I shut up. February, power was out for 2 days. You slept in this bed with me because it was 31 degrees in here. She was watching me take it. You slept on top of the covers, in a coat. You did not touch me one time, and I laid there all night with my back to you doing math about whether I could roll over and make it look like an accident. And I decided I couldn't do it without ruining you, so I didn't. And then you got up at 6 and shoveled my car out. I remember the car part. I know you do. That's the whole problem with you. She said it like an accusation and a love letter. You remember the car part. I sat up. My hands were shaking a little, which was humiliating. Devin, she said. What about Devin? Everybody thought I ended that because of the job. She shrugged one shoulder. I ended it in January. I got the offer in April. Clara? He asked me why. I said I was seeing someone in my head. She held my eyes while she said it. That's an embarrassing sentence. I've never said it out loud. I'm saying it in an apartment with no furniture in it, so, you know, rock bottom. I laughed. It came out cracked. And the thing at Marcus's wedding, she said. You were drunk at Marcus's wedding. I was 4 beers at Marcus's wedding. Don't rewrite it. I remember the whole night. I put my head on your shoulder during the slow song, and you didn't move for the entire song. You didn't shift your arm or clear your throat or make a joke. Her voice dropped. Do you know how rare it is that someone lets you lean on them without needing you to acknowledge it? That's a low bar. It's not a bar, it's you. She sat all the way up now, cross-legged, facing me, and she was in it. Nathan, when my dad was in the hospital, 20 people told me I was handling it beautifully. 20. And you came over on day 4 and put a plate in front of me and said, you stopped putting sugar in your coffee. You did. I hadn't noticed I did. Nobody noticed I did. You noticed I couldn't taste anything, and you brought me food with salt in it so my body would agree to eat. She wiped her face with the back of her wrist, irritated at it. Do you get how that lands? Do you get that everybody else was applauding and you were the only person in the building who actually looked at me? I didn't say anything because my throat wasn't cooperating. And the promotion dinner, she said, quieter. Parking lot. Parking lot. She nodded. I got up in the middle of the toasts and went outside and stood next to a dumpster in a nice dress. And you came out, and you didn't ask what was wrong. You handed me your sweatshirt and said, you're allowed to hate the part where people clap. Yeah. Her chin did something. Yeah, that. Clara, I'm not done. You're not allowed to explain me to myself tonight. You've had 4 years. She reached over to her carry-on, the small one, the one she'd packed herself and wouldn't let anybody else touch, unzipped the front pocket, and took out something and put it in my hand. The bird. The stupid little wooden bird I carved out of a scrap of walnut when I was 26 and trying to figure out how a bandsaw worked. It's not good. One wing is thicker than the other. I gave it to her because she was crying about something else entirely, and I didn't know what else to do with my hands. That's in your carry-on, I said. Everything I own is on a truck. I have 3 inches of space and a lot of decisions to make about socks. She closed my fingers around it. It's in my carry-on. That's when the last of my argument fell over. Because I can talk myself out of being wanted. I've got a whole system for it. I'm the guy people call. I'm useful. I know where the shut-off valve is, and I have a truck, and I answer my phone, and when somebody's warm to me, the honest first thing my brain reaches for is, what do they need? It's not self-pity, it's just the groove I've worn. But you can't logistics your way out of a woman flying a badly carved bird across the country. Say something, she said. You alphabetize your spices. That's what you got? I'm getting there. I set the bird down on the windowsill next to my keys, careful, like it was worth something, because it was. You alphabetize your spices, and you eat cereal for dinner when you're stressed, and you hum when you're nervous, and you did it while you were taping boxes tonight. And I've known what that hum means since I was 25. I looked up at her. Every time I catch myself thinking about you like this, I put it away. And the reason I put it away is I figured I was the guy you call. And I didn't want to be the guy who turns that into something you have to manage. Nathan, I'm saying I've wanted this so long, I stopped believing it was a real option. She grabbed my shirt again. Then stop believing it, she said, and get over here. What happened after that was not careful. I got a hand in her hair, and she got both of hers under my shirt. And there was a stretch where we were just kissing on a mattress on the floor of an empty apartment, like two people who had been very responsible for a very long time and were done. She kissed like she was catching up. She said my name once, in the middle, in a completely different voice than she'd ever used on me, and I had to stop and breathe against her collarbone for a second, because that voice reorganized me. She laughed at me for it. You okay? Give me a minute. 4 years of restraint just collapsed. Take your time. Her fingers were tracing the back of my neck. We've got until 7. We did not sleep much. At some point the room went from dark to that flat blue nothing color, and we were tangled up under the one gray sheet, her back against my chest, my arm across her, her hand on my forearm holding it there, like she was worried I'd take it back. You're still getting on the plane, I said. She was quiet a second. Yes. Good. She turned her head. Good? If you stayed here for me, I'd never forgive either of us. I meant it. You've wanted that job since before you had the words for it. I'm not going to be the reason you're smaller. Her hand tightened on my arm. Then what is this? She said. I don't know. Try. It's not a goodbye, I said. That's the part I know. Everything else is scheduling. She laughed into the pillow, wet. God, only you would call it scheduling. I drove her to the airport at 7. I brought coffee and the phone mount, and she cried at the curb, and I did too, briefly, which she has never let me live down. She kissed me in front of a family of 5 and a very tired airline employee. Then she picked up her carry-on with the bird in it and went. I sat in my truck in the parking garage for 11 minutes before I could drive. Here's the part that surprised me. It got better before it got harder. She called that first night from an air mattress in an apartment with no curtains, and we talked for 2 hours about nothing. Her building's elevator made a sound she described as a whale being disappointed. She'd bought a lamp she already hated. A guy in her building introduced himself and then immediately asked her to sign a petition. What's the petition about? Ducks. I don't know. I signed it. I live here now. I have duck opinions. Then a silence, and then, are we going to talk about it, or are we doing the thing where we're extremely normal? I've been on the normal train for about 90 minutes, and it's exhausting. Okay. Papers rustling, or maybe just her moving. So what are we? You first. Coward. Strategic. Fine, she said. I'd like to be with you, not let's see, not when I'm settled. With you. I want it to be a fact, so that when some guy at work is charming at me, I can say a sentence about it instead of doing calculus. Something in my chest unclenched about 4 inches. Yeah, I said. Okay, fact. Say it, don't okay it. I'm with you, you're mine. That's the arrangement. Wow, we got possessive fast. You asked for a sentence. I did. I could hear her smiling. I like that one. Say it again in 3 days when I'm crying about the lamp. We built a thing, slowly, and out of nothing much. Mornings, she'd send me a photo of whatever she could see out the window before work, no caption. I'd send back the shop, the dust, the light coming in through the bay door at 7 a.m. That was it. That was the whole ritual. And I got weird about it. If it was 9:15 and no photo, I'd be checking my phone like a teenager. Sundays, we cooked the same thing at the same time on the phone, 3 hours apart, and burned it in parallel. Wednesdays, she'd call at 11 her time and talk until she fell asleep mid-sentence. I never hung up first. I'd listen to her breathing and then say something dumb to nobody and end the call. She flew back in July for 4 days, and we spent about 6 hours of it out of my apartment. Her mother was told about us, and Clara handled it, because Clara handles things. The social part was stranger than I expected. Danielle cornered me at a cookout and said, "So you two are, what, doing a long-distance thing?" With her head tilted like she was reading me bad news. "Isn't that so hard?" "Yeah." She waited for more. I ate a chip. Marcus was worse, because Marcus meant well. "Buddy," he said, "you know she's going to meet someone out there, right? That's math. That's not math. You know what I mean." "I do, and you're wrong. And also, if you say that to me again, I'm going to describe your groom's speech in detail." He shut up. But it sat in me for about a month, the way somebody else's doubt gets in your water. The version of it that finally came out wasn't even about a man, not really. It was September. She'd sent pictures from a work thing, a rooftop, everybody in nice clothes, Clara in the middle of it laughing at something with her hand on some guy's arm. Theo? She'd talked about Theo. Theo was funny. Theo had explained the good sandwich place. Theo had a bike. I looked at that picture for longer than a picture deserves. That night she asked what was wrong because she can hear it in the second sentence. "Nothing's wrong, Nathan. It's stupid." "Great, my favorite. Go." "I'm not worried about Theo," I said. "Okay." "I mean it, I'm not. He looks like a guy who owns a very specific water bottle. He does. He's very proud of it. I'm worried about—" I sat down on my kitchen floor, because that's apparently where I do this. You're on a roof, laughing, in a city where nobody knows the version of you that eats cereal at midnight. And the whole time I've known you, my job was that I'm the one who knows. And you don't need me to know anymore. You've got a whole life out there that's easy, and I'm the hard part. I'm the 4-hour flight. Long pause. "Come here," she said, verbally. "Come closer to the phone." "That's not how phones work. Nathan, do you want to hear who I called on Tuesday at 1 in the morning? You called me on Tuesday at 1 in the morning. Yes. From the bathroom of that rooftop, that exact night, 3 hours after that picture, because I got told my project's getting split in two, and I might be running half of something instead of all of one thing. And I went in the bathroom and sat on the counter and called you." Her voice went hard in a good way. "Theo doesn't get the bathroom. Nobody gets the bathroom. You get the bathroom." I put my head back against the cabinet. "Also," she said, "you're not the hard part. I'm objectively the hard part. You're the part I'm doing all this for," she said. "Not the job. I'd have taken the job anyway. I'm not being romantic about it. But when it's good out here, the first thing I want is to tell you, and when it's bad, the first thing I want is to tell you. And if that's the hard part, then fine. Everything else is easy and boring. That should have fixed me. It didn't fix me. That's the part I have to tell honestly. Because what I did with all that was start solving. I don't know exactly when it turned. Somewhere in October. Maybe it was Marcus's math. Maybe it was that being wanted from 2,000 miles away is a thing you can't hold in your hands. And I'm a guy who likes to hold things. So, I got useful. Extremely useful. World class. She mentioned her closet had no shelf. I built her a shelf. Walnut, floating. Cut to the measurements I made her send me twice. Boxed it up, shipped it, $62. She mentioned the shower pressure. I called her building manager. On my own, from Ohio, got the aerator replaced. I set a reminder for her mother's birthday and sent flowers from Clara because Clara was slammed that week. I found her a dentist. I found her a dentist who took her insurance, and then I found her a second dentist because the first one had a review that mentioned aggressive upselling. I made her a spreadsheet of flight prices with the good dates highlighted, and on the phone, I got a rhythm going. What's the problem? Let's solve the problem. Her project split. Let's map the org chart. Bad meeting. Let's plan the follow-up. Rough day. Here are 3 restaurants that deliver to your building past 9. I thought I was crushing it. I genuinely did. I remember lying in bed feeling almost calm for the first time since July, thinking, okay, this is manageable, I have a function. The first sign was small. She said, "You don't have to do all this." And I said, "I know." And she let it go. The second sign was she stopped telling me about the small bad things, which I noticed. That's my whole deal, noticing. I noticed and I misread it. I thought she was getting steadier. I thought the shelf was working. Then, early November, she called and said, "Come out the weekend of the 14th. I already had my calendar open because, of course, I did. "What's on the 14th? "Nothing, it's a weekend." "Okay, but hang on." I was scrolling. "The 21st is your review week, right? That's the one where you present to the whole group. Wouldn't it make more sense for me to come then? You'll be a wreck the week after and I could—" "Nathan, I could actually be useful then, is my point. The 14th you're fine. The 21st, you'll need me." There was a silence with a texture to it. "Wow," she said. "What?" "Nothing." Her voice had gone flat and polite, which is Clara's most dangerous setting. "Okay, let's talk about it later. Clara, I've got to go. I love you. Bye." She hung up, and I sat there thinking I'd handled it well. 2 weeks after that, her dishwasher started leaking. She mentioned it in passing, in a story about something else. I got on my laptop that night, and I want you to understand the level of what I did. I found the make and model from the photo she'd sent months earlier of her kitchen. I found the parts diagram. I ordered the door gasket to her address. I looked up flights and found one Thursday night, $40 more than Friday, and I booked it, and then I texted her. "Coming Thursday. Bringing the small toolbox in a checked bag. Don't let me forget it at security. Gasket should beat me there. Also going to look at that outlet by the fridge. I don't like how you—" Described the sparking. She called me 11 minutes later. "Don't come," she said. I laughed. I actually laughed because I thought she was doing a bit. "Nathan, I'm serious. Don't come Thursday." "Why?" "Because I don't want the toolbox." Her voice cracked and she got it back under control, which was somehow worse. "I asked you to come on the 14th. Nothing was broken on the 14th. There was no reason. That's why I asked. I explained the 14th. You explained the 14th. I could hear her walking, that fast-pacing thing she does. "You told me the 21st was a better use of you. Do you hear that? A better use. Like you're a truck I'm renting." "That's not— Okay, that's not fair. I was trying to—" "I know what you were trying to do." A hard breath. "Nathan, I have been alone in a new city for 6 months. I have been, honestly, mostly great, and sometimes not great. And every single time I'm not great, you show up with a solution, and you're so good at it that I can't even be mad, because who gets mad at a shelf? You seem to be managing." "I'm mad about the shelf," she said, and then laughed, horrified. "Oh my God, I'm mad about the shelf. Yes, I'm mad about the shelf, Nathan, because I told you my closet had no shelf, and what I wanted was for you to say, 'That sucks,' and then talk to me about your day for an hour." I didn't say anything. "You called my building manager," she said. "Your water pressure was bad." "I'm 31. I can call a man about water." Her voice dropped and got serious in a way that scared me more than the yelling. "Do you know what it's like? Everybody I know treats me like a machine that doesn't need anything. That was the whole thing. That was the reason it was you. You were the one person who looked at me instead of my output." A pause. "And now you've made yourself the machine, and I can't get you to just be here. You keep buying tickets to jobs." "I'm trying to hold on to you," I said, "by being indispensable." "Yeah, Nathan." She said it very gently, which killed me. "I don't need you. I want you. Those aren't the same, and you keep translating one into the other because you don't trust the second one. That landed somewhere I couldn't defend. If you only come when there's something to fix," she said, "then one day there's going to be nothing to fix, and you're going to think that means you shouldn't come. And I'm going to be sitting here on a Saturday with a working dishwasher, alone." I stood in my kitchen with my hand over my mouth. "Say something," she said. "You always say something." "I don't know how to be wanted," I said. It came out flat and fast, and it wasn't a line I'd prepared. "I know how to be useful. I've been useful since I was 15. That's how I got kept. That's how I got called. That's the whole resume. And you keep telling me you want me, and I hear it. And then about 6 hours later, my brain goes, 'Okay, but what does she need?' And it starts looking for a job. Because if I've got a job, I know why I'm in the room." Quiet. "Okay," she said, and her voice had gone soft and wrecked. "Okay, that's the first true thing you've said in a month." "I've said You've said helpful things," she said. "Not true ones." I sat down on my floor again. My kitchen floor has hurt a lot. Cancel Thursday, she said. That hurt. Clara, not because I don't want you. Cancel Thursday because Thursday is about a gasket. She sniffed hard. Cancel the gasket flight and then, when you want to see me, buy a ticket for a day with nothing in it. And come with nothing in your hands. That's it. That's the ask. That's a terrible ask. That's the hardest thing you've ever asked me. I know, she said. Isn't that interesting? I canceled the flight, ate the fee, left the gasket in the box on my counter for 8 days like it was watching me. It was a bad 8 days. I'll compress them. I kept picking up my phone to send her a fix and putting it down. She'd say something about a hard meeting, and every cell in my body would want to build her something out of it. And I'd sit on my hands and type, "That sounds awful, I'm sorry," and feel completely useless and exposed, like showing up to a job site with no tools, just a face. And then, weirdly, we started actually talking again. Because it turns out when you're not solving, there's a lot of time. She told me about a woman on her team who cries in stairwells and how she brings her coffee and never mentions it. I told her about my uncle's knees and how I'd been thinking about what the shop looks like in 5 years, which was a thing I hadn't said to anybody, including my uncle. She told me she got the whole project back, not half. And I said, congratulations, and then, on purpose, asked nothing about logistics. On day 9, I bought a ticket, second weekend of December. Nothing on it. Not her review, not a holiday, not her birthday, not a day anything was broken. I texted her a screenshot and one line, coming the 12th. No reason, just want to look at you. She called me in tears within a minute, and the first thing she said was, "Did you check a bag?" "No bag, backpack, 2 shirts and a toothbrush." "You're lying about the toothbrush. You have a whole system." "I have a DOP kit, Clara, and it is beautiful, but there's no toolbox in it." She laughed so hard it turned into crying. Then she said, "I'm going to be so annoying at the airport." She was. She was standing past baggage claim in a coat I'd never seen, bouncing on the balls of her feet. And when she saw me, she made a sound that a woman who runs a team of 19 people should not make in public, and she hit me at speed. I got both arms around her and lifted her about 4 inches off the floor, and she stayed there. "Nothing's wrong," she said into my neck. "Nothing's wrong. You came anyway. Turns out I wanted to. We didn't do anything that weekend. That was the point. We went to the market and she made me smell 9 different soaps. We walked around a lake in the rain because she said the rain out there is polite, which is a lie. We ate at the sandwich place Theo had recommended, and it was very good, and I told her that Theo had earned nothing. I met Theo, actually. He came by her place for 10 minutes to drop off a folder, and he was, I have to report, a genuinely nice guy with a very specific water bottle. He shook my hand and said, "Oh, you're Nathan," in a tone I decided to enjoy for the rest of my life. Sunday morning, she was making eggs, and I said, "The knob on your oven's stripped." She turned around with the spatula. "I know," I said. "I know. I'm not going to fix it. I'm just saying it out loud like a normal person who noticed a knob. Thank you. It's going to fall off in like a month. And then I'm going to call somebody about it. You're going to call me about it." "Yes," she said. "And you're going to say, 'That sucks.' And then we're going to talk about something else. And then, when you visit, if you want, you can fix it while I sit on the counter and watch, because I like watching you do that. That's allowed. That's allowed, Nathan. It's just not the ticket." I filed that away in a place I don't lose things. Winter went. I flew out in January. She came back in February, and we spent a weekend at my place doing nothing more romantic than laundry and a very heated disagreement about a movie. In March, she made a friend, an actual friend, a woman named Priya who called her out on things. And I was so relieved I almost sent Priya a gift. And somewhere in there I started thinking about the thing I'd been not thinking about since August. I want to be careful here, because this is the part people get wrong. She never asked me to move, not once. Not a hint, not a, "You'd love it here," with weight on it, nothing. When I brought it up in February cautiously, she actually got quiet and then said, "I'm not going to help you decide that. That's cold. That's on purpose." She was serious. "If you move here and it's bad, I need you to be able to be mad about it without being mad at me. So I'm not going to sell you anything. I'll answer questions. I won't sell." So I did it the boring way. Over 4 months, I talked to my uncle. Turns out he'd been thinking about his knees too, and had a nephew-in-law's kid who'd been hanging around the shop wanting in. And my uncle said, "I'd rather hand it to a kid who wants it than to a man who's staying out of guilt, which is the most words he'd said to me in a decade. I flew out in March and spent 3 days not seeing Clara at all. She was at a conference, and instead walked into 6 shops with sawdust on the floor and asked if anybody needed hands. 2 said no. 1 said maybe. 1 was a restoration outfit run by a woman named Ingrid who looked at photos of my joinery on my phone and then looked at me and said, "Why would you leave a shop you'd inherit?" "There's a woman." "Good answer. I hate liars." I ran the numbers. Rent out there is a crime. I'd take a pay cut. I'd sell my truck and buy a worse truck. And I sat with the real question, the one under it, which was, am I doing this because I want to be with her, or because being near her means there's always a knob to fix? I didn't have a clean answer. I don't think anybody does. But here's the tell I finally trusted. When I imagined it, the part I kept replaying wasn't a repair. It was Tuesdays. It was her coming in at 7:40 and dropping her bag by the door and saying something mean about the elevator. It was having a boring life with her in it. That's when I bought the second ticket, the one-way one. I told her in May, after it was already done. Job start date, lease signed, moving truck paid for. I told her on a video call, and I watched her face do about 4 things. "You already signed a lease," she said. 10 months, 14 blocks from you. 14 blocks? "I'm not moving in with you. You'd hate it. You need a room where nobody's ever heard of me." I shrugged. "Also, I think you should get to keep your apartment as yours. You built that." She put both hands over her face. "Clara, give me a second. I'm having a whole thing." Her voice came out muffled. "You did all of it without telling me." "I know. You could have asked me anything." "I know, and if I'd asked, you'd have been in it, and then it'd be partly yours." I leaned toward the camera. I needed it to be all mine, so that if it's hard, I don't get to look at you like you owe me. That's the whole reason. She dropped her hands. Her eyes were wrecked and her chin was up. "Okay," she said. "Say the sentence." "What sentence?" "You know the sentence." "I'm moving to Seattle because I want to be where you are," I said. "Not because you need me, because I want to." She nodded about 8 times, fast, and then said, "Cool, cool, cool, cool," and cried. And then immediately started telling me about a parking situation on my new street, and I let her, because sometimes logistics is just love and work clothes, and you have to know the difference, not delete it. I got in on a Saturday in June, drove it 4 days, with the bad truck and a trailer, because I have things I refuse to sell, including a jointer that weighs more than a person. She was standing on the sidewalk outside my new building when I pulled up, and she had 2 iced coffees and a look on her face like she'd been out there a while. Moving me in took 11 hours, and both of us hated each other by hour 9. I'll spare you. Priya came, Theo came, which was upsetting, because Theo is strong. Somebody's cousin came for 2 hours and mostly held doors. By 10 at night they were all gone, and it was just me and Clara and about 40 boxes and a roll of tape, and I looked around and started to laugh. "What?" she said. "Nothing." "Nathan," I pointed. Bed frame in pieces against the wall, because we'd run out of hands. Mattress flat on the floor with 1 sheet on it, the gray one. Hers, actually. She'd brought it over the week before, for logistical reasons. Boxes by the door. 3 of them said, "Kitchen Misk." She looked, and she got it. And she sat down on the floor and put her face in her hands and laughed until she had to wipe her eyes. "You labeled 3 of them Misk," she said. "They're all Misk." "That is not how it works. That's what you told me." "I've grown." She got up. And here's the thing about me. I looked at that room, and something in my hands started itching. There was a frame to build. There was a whole kitchen to unpack, and the boxes weren't stacked right, and I'd noticed the closet door dragged, and the old me was already halfway to the toolbox with a plan for the next 4 hours. I felt it happen. That's new. I felt myself start to turn a feeling into a list. So I said, out loud, "I want to put the bed together." Clara stopped. "Do you want to, or do you need something to do?" "It's the second one." "Yeah," she said. She walked over and took the tape gun out of my hand, set it on a box. Then she took my keys off the windowsill, where I dropped them 11 hours ago, along with, I noticed, a small, badly carved wooden bird that she must have put there while I wasn't looking. She put the keys in her pocket. "You're stealing my keys." "I'm holding them." She got 2 fingers through my belt loop. "You're not going anywhere. You live here. That's the whole point of the last year, Nathan. You live here. There is nowhere for you to go." There's a bed frame. There's a mattress on the floor, she said, and it's the last soft thing in this apartment, and I've done this before, so I know exactly how it goes. She sat down on it and pulled. I went easier this time, landed on my side, next to her, close enough that I could see the freckle under her left eye and the dust in her hair. Hi, she said. Hi. Anything broken? Closet door drags. Don't care. Outlet by the fridge is upside down. Don't care. She got a hand flat on my chest, right over my heart, and held it there and looked at me the way she'd looked at me on a mattress in an empty apartment in Ohio 13 months ago. The look that says I decided about you a long time ago. You're just now getting the memo. Ask me what I need. What do you need? Nothing, she said. Not one thing. I'm fine. Everything works. I got the project. I have a friend named Priya. My water pressure is excellent. Her thumb moved on my collarbone. Now ask me the other one. I had to breathe for a second. What do you want? I said. You. No pause at all. That's it. That's the entire list. You, on the floor, in a room full of boxes, on a Saturday when nothing's wrong. And I believed her, not in a big cinematic way. I just believed her the way you believe a floor will hold you, without checking. I kissed her. She made that sound again, the one from the first night, the one that reorganizes me, and she pulled the sheet over both of us because it was cold in there, and neither of us had found the box with the blankets. Somewhere around 1 a.m, she was mostly asleep, with her leg over mine and her hand still on my chest, and she mumbled, "Tomorrow you can build the frame. Tomorrow I'm building the frame, and I'll sit on the counter and watch. You'll hand me the screws. I'll hand you some of the screws," she said, "and then I'll drop one, and you'll find it under the radiator with your phone light, and you'll put it in a little bag and tape the bag to the wood." God, she said into my shoulder, happy. I love that about you. I've always loved that about you. It was never the problem. I lay there in the dark in a city I'd chosen, in an apartment I'd signed for by myself, with 40 boxes I was going to open slowly, and a woman who had a full life of her own 14 blocks away, and had walked those blocks anyway. Nothing was broken. Nobody needed me. I stayed all night.